Hi there, welcome back. So today they want me to share a chapter from When Love Leaves, Angels Step In. And it's chapter 21, Witnessing Death for the First Time. Now, just to give you an idea of what was happening, so I don't have to read it word for word, but there is a part that they want me to read. And I don't question why. I'm guessing this is meant for someone today. So I'll share it. At the time, I was getting this guidance from my team to perform Reiki for a lady in America. And the information that I had was that this lady was very ill in the hospital. And at the time, I asked permission from that person or from their partner if I could perform Reiki on them. And I couldn't get through. So I was guided by my friend in New Zealand to get my higher self in and her higher self in and to ask permission to do this Reiki session. Because to do Reiki, we need that person's permission. You can't just go Reikiing on everybody that you just feel like, oh, they need it and they need it. And no, it's not up to us. We need that person's permission. And if it's not something that they want or they believe in or whatever it is, if they say no, then it's not up to us. So I was trying to get permission from this lady because my spirit team kept bugging me that I needed to do this Reiki session. And I thought, okay. So eventually the partner, I couldn't get through to get a yes or a no. So my friend in New Zealand guided me to bring in my higher self and her higher self and to ask. Now, originally, when I asked, I said, can I do a Reiki session for healing? And her higher self said no. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was confused. But then I asked my team and my team kept saying yes to do this Reiki session. And I thought, well, I can't get a verbal consent from her, a yes or a no. The partner eventually sent a yes. So I thought, okay, I'll take it as a yes, because I really felt I shouldn't without permission, but her partner was a yes as well. So after a few days of backwards and forwards with all of this, this is what happened. So we're on page 111, 111. How beautiful. So when I called in the angels, they were all dressed in those beautiful white luminescent gowns. Even Uriel and Metatron were dressed in white and had taken human form for this session. As I opened up her crown, there was so much light pouring into her head. It was almost blinding. When I opened up her third eye chakra, I could see her divine light body come out of her physical body. She was ecstatic and delighted. I'd never felt such joy until this point in time. Her light body floated above her physical body. I could see her physical body in the hospital room, and her light body was floating outside of the room. At this point, there were no walls or a roof, just space. It's a bit tricky to describe, but hopefully you get the picture. Yes, what I could see her in the hospital bed. And once her light body came out of her physical body that was in the bed, the walls disappeared, the roof disappeared, it all dissolved. And all I had was her in the bed, in space, in this beautiful space with the light body above. At that moment, hundreds of little fairies appeared and surrounded her light body. That's when she started giggling. They were so happy to see her, and she was thrilled to be with them. Her light body and the fairies remained until the session was complete. When I reached her throat chakra, thousands upon thousands of white flowers appeared. They were falling gently from the sky onto her physical body. I couldn't see where they were coming from. It was like they were raining from the clouds. Then the magic happened. As I opened up her heart chakra, that beautiful golden hand of God came in and lifted up her physical body. As I watched her body slowly disintegrated into dust until it completely disappeared. It was amazing. Overwhelmed with so much love and joy, I began to cry and didn't stop until the session had ended. Usually, I see God as a golden hand. I don't know why. That's how he appears to me many, many times. On the way up, as I was turning her chakras in their respective colors, they were all spinning with these beautiful peonies, first in red, then orange, yellow, pink, blue, purple, and white. When I reached the top, that's all that was left. These beautiful flowers spun where her body once lay. All I could see was her light body floating above, surrounded by fairies. Her face beamed with joy and love. It felt like a celebration, like they were welcoming her home. She adored her fairies. Now, at the time, I didn't know very much about this person. I didn't know much at all. And at the time, when I did this session, and then I passed it on to her partner, her husband, usually after a Reiki session, I do a recording of all the information that's come through. And I sent that to him. And then he was in tears because he was saying that she had a thing for fairies. There were fairies all over her house, in pictures, in little figurines, and she was always talking about fairies. He said she loved them so much. And the following day she passed away. So, you know, for me that was such a beautiful, beautiful moment to see that, to witness that, the joy that she was feeling as she came out of her body. The love that the angels were feeling for her in that moment. You know, all this energy that's coming through as I'm in this Reiki session. And I'm feeling all of it, and then I'm overwhelmed and I can't stop crying. I spent my whole life, my parents were so afraid of death because of what happened to my mum's parents. And she lost them when she was 5, they passed away. And so I grew up with this, not in me, I always had a curiosity for death, but around me, the people around me, they all had this fear of death. And that was one thing that I never took on. I couldn't understand why. Why are they afraid of death? For me, there was a curiosity about it, of what happens next. I think I always knew within my heart that death is not the end. You know, like all these beings that were so afraid of death, because that's it, that's the end. Yes, it's the end of this lifetime. It's the end of this reality as it is. These parents that you've had, these children that you've had, the partner that you have in this lifetime will never be the same again in another lifetime. You may all choose different roles, or different people will come in. Because for me, for a very long time, this friend that I have in New Zealand, I met her over 25 years ago now. And I remember at the time, I felt such a strong connection to her and I couldn't explain it. And my cousin, my closest cousin, knew her and she didn't like her at all. She couldn't understand why I loved her so much. And I'm trying to think now. It's been about 3 years that we found each other again, because we met where I was working, where I met my husband. We all met. We were all working together in the same office, in the same place. And she was the first person I met when I went to work there. And I just had this admiration for her patience, for her kindness, just for her overall energy. I just loved being around her. And we became good friends. But then shortly after, I'm trying to think how many years, we might have been together for about 5 or 6 years. And then we left. My husband and I were already together by then, and we left. We'd had enough of working there. We wanted to do something else. And she stayed for a little bit longer, but after that, we didn't keep in touch. And then 3 years ago, when I, was fully into my awakening stage, we found each other it was incredible how we found each other. I just, get blown away every time I think of how it happened. When I went through the IVF in 2010 and everything went horribly wrong and I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, I was reaching out to all of these people that we had met at work, that we were close friends with. Some of these we'd been to their weddings, and some we were so close to some of them. And I reached out, I just felt like talking to someone that wasn't from the people I had around me at the time. I needed someone outside of that to get me out of that, if you know what I mean. And there was one particular person that I reached out to that was one of the people that we'd been to his wedding. And he didn't answer back. A year and a half later, we had my daughter. So the following year, I went back to the IVF, and they implanted one of the fertilized eggs. And then, 9 months later, there she was. So then I got busy with that. Completely forgot that I'd sent off those messages to those few people that we used to work with. And this particular friend that I was so close to, she was the only other female at the time that was in the office. I couldn't contact her. I couldn't find her contacts at the time for whatever reason. So she wasn't one of the people I reached out to. But this other friend, 11 years later from that 2010 message, he decides to send a message back. It was on Facebook Messenger. And I was quite new to Messenger. I wasn't using it all that much. But 11 years later, he decides to send a message. Oh, wait, it wasn't 11 years. It would have been 10. It was just before COVID. So that would be 9 years. 2019. It was just before COVID hit. Sorry, my bad. 2019. 9 years later, he decides to answer that message on Messenger and saying, hey, let's catch up. But by this stage, he was far away from where we are, so we had to really travel to get to him. And we caught up with our daughter that was now 9. And 2019, hang on, no, she's 7. Anyway, maths isn't with me. It's not on my side today. Let's skip the numbers. So there's too much going on. So what's important about the story isn't the numbers. We had our daughter, and my daughter and his daughter, for whatever reason, even though she's 2 years older than my daughter, hit it off like they've been best friends forever. It was incredible to watch. Within half an hour of them sitting together at the table, they were besties. And I'd never seen my daughter make a friend that fast, ever, before, It was like they'd known each other their whole lives. It was so funny to watch. But what was incredible about that story was that I asked that friend why he got in touch. Why was he keen for us to get together and catch up after we hadn't heard from him for years, After he got married, we stopped talking to each other. He went on with his life and moved far away, and we got on with our life, with IVF and all the other fun stuff that was happening. Why? Why did you get in touch with us now? Why is now a special time, that you want to talk to us? And he said to me, I was just answering your message that you sent me. And I said to him, what message? And he showed me the message on his phone, and I looked at the message on my phone, and I looked at the date, and I said to him, do you realize that that was at the end of 2010? And this is like 9 years later. I said, does it take you that long to answer a message? Anyway, so it was the funniest moment ever. And we're like, dude, 9 years, why are you not answering your messages? What's wrong with you? But it was meant to be that way, you see. Our daughters were at the perfect age that they would be friends, and they're still friends today, even though we live far away from each other. They can still communicate through all the technology. But what came out of that was that after I saw this friend, I had a yearning to see that friend from work, because we were all from the same job, from the same office. And I felt this yearning in my heart that I need to get in touch with her. I need to find her. Where is she? And it was through that friend, when we were visiting him, that he told me exactly how to get in touch with her. And she's the friend that I have in New Zealand. And it was as I was beginning to go through a deeper awakening that she came into my life. She was meant to come into my life, and I was meant to come into her life. But what was coming through that they wanted me to share here is that since I've found her, and we've had so many beautiful moments together, I've had many past lifetime regressions with her, and she was my sister in many lifetimes. We were blood sisters. And that's why I had such a close connection to her when we first met, but I didn't know that then. I know that now, that I've been shown all these past lifetimes, and she was in so many of them, so many. But in this lifetime, we're friends. We're close friends. We love each other. But we didn't get to grow up together. We didn't choose the same childhood experience in this lifetime. So that's where I was going with this story. The people that you have in this lifetime, the way this lifetime has unfolded, will not be the same ever again. Each lifetime is unique. Each experience is unique. You are extracting information from this lifetime. And in the next lifetime, perhaps you are the daughter and your daughter is your mother. Perhaps your best friend is your sister again. You don't know, because it all depends on the experience that your soul chooses to have and who is going to be part of that experience this time. When I saw those past lifetime regressions, I thought, oh, this makes so much sense to me. Not only that, but we are so close, this friend and I, that I was shown when our souls were coming to this lifetime and how excited we were to come in. We were giddy with excitement. We couldn't wait to get here, both of us, looking down, side by side. We're like, we can't wait to get there. Can't wait to do this lifetime. It's so exciting to the soul. So, my beautiful beings, death is just the end of this lifetime as it is. It's not the end of you. You get to go out. Leave this vessel behind, this body behind. And you get to choose again. What do I want to experience in the next lifetime? Who am I taking with me? Who's going to be my parents this time? Who's going to be my siblings, if you have any? Best friends, if you have any? What lifetime will be next? You'll know when you get there. But for now, this life is afoot. You're already in it. You're already here. So enjoy it, all of it. And everything that's in it. Because next time it won't be the same. All right, my beautiful beings. Enjoy every moment exactly as it is. I love you guys. Remember to click like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the messages. We love you dearly. And share these beautiful videos that others may know that death is not the end. It is just a new beginning. Bye for now.